Hey guys, welcome back to another video of Impossible Mowers. In today's video, we're giving Winnie the Pooh a fresh oil change with the new oil and oil filter, and we're also going to take off that blade deck and see how it does on the trail, putting it to the test. So without further ado, stay tuned. Alrighty guys, like I said in today's video, we're going to give this Poulon a fresh oil change. Now, before I get any further, it's been a long time since I've actually done an oil change on camera. I believe the last time we did one was with the Cub Cadet, trying to get that going, and it was a mess. Here's a video to show you what it looked like inside the oil. It was like completely gasoline. I mean, zero lubricity. The only coloration to signify there was oil was just that milky gray brown substance coming out of that spigot. It was just god awful, and that almost happened to this thing. That almost happened to this motor, and I'll explain why. I tried to crank it over a couple weeks ago off camera, just to mow the lawn, and it wouldn't crank. It did that classic Briggs thing, and it, you know, it's, I say classic Briggs thing, but you know, it's the same with Kohlers too. You try to crank it and it won't want to crank. Even with a fully charged battery, you got a full pack on it, won't crank. I took off the spark plugs, and sure enough, the combustion chamber was jam-packed with a bunch of gas, which told me I flooded the absolute crap out of this motor, and I didn't even know it. So I emptied out the combustion chamber and ran it. But I checked the oil after running it. Now, keep in mind, I only ran it for about 3, maybe even 2 minutes. And I checked the oil, and the oil was packed with gasoline. Now, it was not as bad as what you saw in that video before, but you can tell there was something in there. Now, the oil's brand new, because I had done this oil change before. I did the oil change before any of this happened. And then I ran it, went to go try it again, you know, mow the lawn like I just said, and then it got filled up with gasoline, checked the oil, and here we are. Now the oil is actually looking it looks really fresh. Looks pretty good. But as far as lubricity goes and smell, it's still pretty, you know, it's oily, which is good, but you can smell it and tell there's gasoline in there. And that was a real bummer because, you know, doing oil changes isn't getting any cheaper. You know, it was about 25 bucks to do this oil change, and I just had to spend another 25 doing it again. And it's expensive because I don't use cheap parts. I use factory OEM Briggs & Stratton V twin parts. I use 1030 Pennzoil. You know, like I don't go cheap. I like to get my rigs running and running well, reliable. And so that's what happened. This got filled up with gasoline. It's not as bad. In fact, I even pulled that plug before this video out a little bit, and there's still oil in there, which is good. That tells me that not a lot of gas surpassed the rings. It was just a little bit, but it's enough to call for another oil change. You do not want to run these motors with gas inside the motor and oil. You don't want to mix that stuff together. If you got gas in your combustion chamber, that's a good thing, obviously. But if you've got gas in your oil or in your crankcase, not a good thing, because it's not going to make the job of lubricating all those parts any easier for the motor. You know, it's got to be only oil in there. So when I sniffed that gas and saw that it still had some sort of lubrication to it, but you could see it just was not good, that's when I decided to make a video on it today. So that's what we're going to do. You know, just watch out, guys. This happens to everybody. I mean, you just got to be careful. You know, you can snap cranks doing this. Sorry, cranks, Jesus. Connecting rods doing this. I've literally witnessed people keep cranking on it. You know, they know that it's filled up with gas, or they don't know, and they just keep cranking on it. They even grab their diesel packs, crank on it, and it puts too much pressure, too much stress on that connecting rod, and it snaps. It's a very famous thing that happens. Luckily, I was able to signify to myself, hey, you know what? this might be filled with gas. So just keep that in mind. If that happens to you, just remove the spark plugs, crank it over freely, and do it outside, not in your shop, so nothing catches fire. And just make sure that the combustion chamber is relieved of the pressure of all that gas in there. Just always make sure you do that. You don't want to spend more money than you have to. But I got lucky, and now we're going to do this oil change. So we got a new oil filter. I'm using 1030 oil. Like I said before, nothing special, just classic 1030. You can use 1040. I've even seen people use the fully synthetic stuff. Whether it's good for it or not, I don't know. I'm not an expert. I do know that 1040 actually does help a little bit with bearing wear. But when I went to the AutoZone near me, all they had was this stuff in stock, so I just grabbed it. But it's always okay to run 10W30 or 10W40. But of course, it's always good to read the manual, make sure you're getting the right oil for your motor. You know, you can listen to me, or you can actually just look up the manual for your motor and just see what that qualifies for. So that's what we got. 2 quarts of this stuff should fill it up pretty good. Let's see, go in the toolbox here. We got our 2 quarts. Gotta have shop rags, gotta keep it clean. We got our drain pan, our funnel, and of course, what makes most of this magic happen, our brand new Briggs & Stratton oil filter. One thing I will say, guys, and it's part of the manual, make sure you're getting the parts that are, you know, get parts that are fitted for your machine. You could have a single cylinder oil filter fit on this V-twin. I'm not joking you, it's possible. Doesn't mean you should run it. You always want to make sure whatever you're buying for V-twins or single cylinders is rated for V-twins or single cylinders, and you can rate that by horsepower as well. So this oil filter is rated for 24 to 26 horsepower. This Intech V-twin is a 24 horsepower. So that means that this oil filter can be put on motors 24 up to 26. If you put a oil filter that is for a 10 to 15 horsepower single cylinder mower, it is not going to be enjoyable for that motor. In fact, you might even do damage to it, because that oil filter is not meant to handle all of those RPMs. It's not meant to lubricate all that oil for such a to have such a small filter on a big motor. So like I said, just make sure you're getting that right stuff. I don't mean to keep jawing at you guys, but it is important stuff to know. And of course, the last piece to this puzzle, a nice old piece of plier. So I'm gonna set my tripod up here and show y'all how we do it. Let's see, get a good spot here so you guys can see it. Beautiful. Now this does have the blade deck still connected, and we are going to take it off, but it's a lot of work, and I've done this before, so I know what I'm doing. But you always want to have a funnel with you, because what tends to happen is this plug doesn't always shoot the oil out of this end. It tends to actually spill out from the ends here, right in the back, and then just kind of go along the frame. So I've got my funnel, but I've also got this drain pan underneath it to make sure that it's covering it. In fact, I'm actually going to lift this up. Alrighty guys, we are back. So one thing you want to do is take that drain bowl of yours, carry it to the other side, because when you take those oil filters off, as you all may know, there's still residual oil in the oil filter. I got plenty of rags with me too, so see how hard this comes off. Come on, baby. Okay. She's on there pretty good, not gonna lie. Alrighty, so she's definitely in there. That's why you guys have to do this hand tight, because all that pressure that builds up in here, it's pretty much self-tightening. Just does it on its own. Gee, money. That sucker's in there. Might have to grab my oil wrench. Yep. Alright, I'm going to cut the video here and grab my oil wrench and I'll get right back to you. Alrighty guys, it's not coming off even with the oil wrench. I just gave it a shot and it is on there good. So I'm going to show you guys a trick that I do. Do not do this trick unless you absolutely have to, because if you don't do it right, you can actually damage some stuff to the oil filter. Well, you're going to damage the oil filter, but you can damage the thread plug-in, which I'll show you, to the actual unit. But what we're going to do is grab a flathead, nice and small, or Phillips. Phillips actually works better, and a rubber mallet right near the edge. Lightly tap. Right when you break through, try to get a little further in there and turn the way that you would to loosen it. I'm going to put it in there a little more. And there you go. Loosen that right up. Now I'm going to grab my oil wrench and finish the job. There we go. Grab another bite. Oh, it's really slippery in there. It's not grabbing. See if we can't do that by hand. There we go. Got it. Like I said, you guys got to be careful when doing that. Make sure the pan is just barely right where it needs to be. Just gonna let that drain for a bit. I'm actually gonna set some towels down on the ground here. These are Scott's shop rag towels, in case you guys don't know. They are meant to absorb all that oil and junk. So I'm gonna set a couple of those on the ground, so you can at least do somewhat of a good job, clean job. I'm gonna double it up, make sure it really soaks. Oh, sorry about that. Alrighty, very good. I'm gonna turn that puppy. There we go. Let her drain. Now, if I had not done this, and let's say it came out regularly, you'd have to do it pretty quick and hover it over the pan. You can see how it's starting to get loose. I'm just going to turn it. And this is what the Scott's rags are for. So there's a lot more oil in this, which is good. You could definitely tell it's fully not good oil. But it's oil. It's definitely got lubricity to it. So I'm not seeing any signs of shavings. Ooh, hang on. What's this? It looks like gunk. Just gunk. I'm seeing a couple little pieces of shavings, but they're small, and that's to be expected. Oh, you guys also got to remember these small motors, even big motors too, like cars and stuff. It's okay to see a small amount of shavings. Like, you know, if you're seeing thick pieces, you know, call a technician, get something done about it. But if you're seeing like microscopic small shavings, that's to be expected. That's just regular bearing wear. That's just regular wear in the motor. Every motor has it. Can't clean this stuff up. I'm just kind of taking my rag and cleaning up everywhere, making sure we're doing a nice clean job. Sure makes the frame look good, I'll tell you that. So you can't get all that junk out of there. All right. She's looking pretty clean to me. So that is the filter. And now we are going to install another brand new filter. Now I'm going to show you guys a pretty good trick that you can do. I do the same thing with my cars, and I advise you do the same with your mower. Of course, it can be a little tricky doing it with these mowers. Grab your oil. I'll turn the camera over here so you guys can see. Grab your oil. Open that puppy up. There we go. Grab your oil filter. We're going to wipe this off, making sure we have a nice clean gasket. And we're going to grab a little bit of oil, fill it up just a little bit, like right there, nothing too much. Then we're going to grab a little dab, rub it on that gasket. Makes for a good seal, a smooth seal, and it just makes your future life a lot better. And there you go. So now we're going to put that camera back up here. Alrighty. And we're going to screw that puppy in hand tight, of course. You don't want to fill that up too much, because if you fill it up all the way, you can imagine it's going to spill on the side. But if you fill it up just a little bit, it helps. Every little bit helps. Now I'm going to use the shop rag because it's drier. 1, 2, I'm going to give it a little oomph. Oomph, right there. That's all you need. Making sure that it's on there good, which it is. And that's it. Hand tight. That's all you need. She's looking pretty clean under there. All right. So now we're going to fill this puppy up with oil. I'm going to clean up all this. I'll probably take all that oily gas stuff, put it in the jug, and send it to my nearest junkyard. They have a burner that actually runs off of this stuff, so they just take it for free and dispose of it as they should. So it's all going to the good spot. So now we're going to grab our lovely oil, hop over on the other side here, and we're going to fill that puppy up with that good stuff. Nice and easy. Not seeing any leaks, which means our plug is sealed as it should. You can hear it whining a bit because it's reaching the top a bit. I don't know why the Briggs and Strattons do that. They whine like that, at least with this one. If you guys know why, hit me up in the comments. I'm assuming it's just like, I don't know, air pocket or something. I don't know. I'm going to spin this by hand a little bit, because you guys got to remember, this thing was running. Actually, it helps if you push the clutch in. Jiminy. This thing was running with that junk in there, so I'm going to spin it over by hand a little bit. Work that stuff in there. And then we're going to open up our second cap. I'm going to set the tripod up here, just so you guys can see how we do it from a good angle. Alrighty guys, sorry the camera cut out. I'll put you guys on the US General here. You guys can see what I'm doing. So this second quart, we just put the first quart in. The second quart, you gotta be careful because you can't just dump it all in there. You gotta make sure you're pouring it slow, checking your dipstick, and doing the same thing over and over again. You don't want to overfill it. So what I like to do, you guys can see there, I like to fill it up. Let's see, I'm watching my marker here on the side. I'm gonna fill it up right there. I like to get right above. It's alright to get a little below that 400 mark. Just to make sure you're just taking it with ease. Grab a rag. Wipe that dipstick off. Come on. Jeez. Okay. Now put that dipstick in. And we're going to take it out. What do we get? Just above the ad. Maybe just a little shy. Which isn't bad. It's pretty good. That's why you gotta take your time. If I were to put that whole cord in there, I'd be all the way probably up here. But we're gonna take our time with this. Wrong cord. And so I'm gonna guesstimate, based on what we're seeing here on our reading, that's about, let's see, 1, 2. I'm gonna say we're gonna have to go right up to that 300 marker. Right there. Which isn't that long either. Oh, spilled a little. Right there. Just below it. Close enough. Now, of course, you guys also got to understand, when you're putting oil in that dipstick, not all of it's going to the crankcase. You're going to get most of it, but some of that residual stuff from the dipstick is also, or sorry, not the dipstick, the dipstick funnel is also funneling itself down slowly to that crankcase. So, gotta give it some time sometimes, just to make sure that you're getting all of the oil in there. Alrighty. We're perfectly at ad. I don't know if you guys can see that. Perfectly at the ad mark. So, on quart, I'm probably going to go from 300 to 200 milliliters. See what we're looking at here. Right there. Nice and slow. Take our time. You don't have to do it this way. You can actually just keep pouring it in until, you know, it's flush and where it should be. But I just do it this way just because, yeah, I don't know. I like numbers. So close. See right there? You guys can see it. That second. It's right there. It's almost at full. And yeah, I'm just going to keep going back and forth here, guys, until this puppy's filled up. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to stop, cut the camera off, and we're going to pick it up when we have the blade deck out, and we're ready to see what this baby can do on the trail. So without further ado, I guess we'll do the magic snap. have a seized pulley.
Hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right. Hell no, to the no, 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 yeah, to the no.
We'll definitely have to head back, but I'm gonna try out this spot around here and just see how she does. Definitely gotta head back. She's acting up. Okay, so this thing was really good. I mean, it grabbed very good traction, but you could hear at the end there, it kind of sounded like a diesel. I'm pretty damn sure that carburetor is done. I mean, kind of sucked. Two things happened there. First thing that happened was my idler pulley in the front that controls your clutch pulley, I guess we can call it, right there, seized. And I was kind of waiting on that. These are the stock pulleys, but you can see that's why we go for metal, because it was just chewing up that plastic and squealing. But the second problem is the engine's running like a bag of ass. I mean, oh my goodness. It definitely needs a new carburetor. I mean, I should have taken pictures, but when I opened that thing up, the rust was immaculate. It was to the point where I didn't even think I was going to even be able to clean it. But, you know, it ran okay, but it definitely needs some upgrades. So I think the next thing we're throwing at it is new carburetor, new pulleys all around, just as far as idlers and clutch pulleys go. You know, the trans and the main drive pulleys fine. So new pulleys, a fuel shut off switch, and a carburetor, and this thing will be on the trails reliable. Oh, and a battery, can't forget the battery. I need to buy that too, but that'll all come in good time. I'm gonna check the oil, see what we're looking at here. Good news, smells like oil, and it's oil. Let's see. Okay, a little bit of blow by. Hope that's not a gasket on the way out. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of hoping that wasn't spark knock. I did not put those plugs in all the way. But if, you know, if it was spark knock, you would have been hearing the knock the moment you started the motor. So it's definitely not spark knock. I think what's happening here is the carburetor is just so shot, that fuel solenoid, to close the what's it called, the fuel shut off. It's not working. It's getting old, so it's time for some new parts for this girl anyway. So that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, she off-roaded amazing. Good old Winnie the Pooh kicking the ass again. And just like that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and if you ever want to know where we got the tires, you know, and where we're getting these parts, let me know in the comments below, and I'll gladly share you the links. And of course, as always, if you want to see more of me and the rest of the Impossible Mowers crew, head to the Patreon links below. You get a 7-day free trial, I believe, for free. If you don't like it, you don't have to subscribe. That's fine. But there's a lot of cool stuff that we don't show on the channel that we do show on the Patreon. A lot of these mowers getting put to the test, so check it out, please. And also, don't forget the Instagram, like I said before. But also, if you guys have any ideas on this mower, like what color should the rims be, you know, what kind of light should we put on it? Should we go LED or should we stick to amber? You know, should we put a winch on it? You know, let me know what you guys think. Put your comments below what you think we should do, and I will gladly do it. I mean, part of the fun about this channel is letting you guys decide what we should do with these mowers. You know, it can't all just be me. You know what I mean? So just let me know. Anything is accepted. So that's pretty much it for today's video, guys. Like I said before, I hope y'all subscribe. Please share this video and comment. And without further ado, I hope you all stay safe, and I'll catch you guys next time.